Hey there. I'd like to talk and connect two different things together. Self-confidence and health. And just kind of see how they interface, how they affect one another. Now, I've talked about confidence and just what I'm doing to try and be more comfortable with myself and what I'm doing and just being seen. And I know that it'll affect my life, like where I go, what I do, in a really big way. So for me, that's an important thing, to work on how comfortable I am being myself, including the part of me that is not very comfortable being myself. So I'm trying not to move forward from a place of fear or shame, like trying to get rid of my insecurity. Instead, kind of embrace it and be at peace with it. And I think that's a good way to move forward so that I'm not trying to fight everything, because I don't think that ends up working out in our favor all the time. Now, how that connects with health. See, one of the things that I've been more aware of is just how my own insecurities has played into things like how I eat and how and whether or not I exercise. So on the eating front, I definitely have this personality trait where it's a people-pleasing and perfectionist kind of thing. And that plays out in some ways in how I eat. Because I landed on this way of eating that worked really well for me, the carnivore diet, but it kind of fed into the perfectionist part of me, where it's like, oh, I have to be perfect. I have to find this perfect way of eating that gives me the best possible results. So there's a good and a bad there. They have this interplay where, on one hand, it's feeding the perfectionist part of me, but on the other hand, there was this really positive outcome, this benefit, where I got the health benefit of having a very regimented and strict way of eating. And so, I can appreciate the good side of it, of something that, might be considered kind of negative. Now, there's another part of this where being confident in what I'm doing, including the things that are perhaps influenced by my insecurity. Now, working out definitely fits into that, because I do work out in part because of a desire to be more lovable, to make myself better so that other people like me more. And I don't consider that to be an ideal trait, but I can find a way of looking at it where, by using compassion, I can be appreciative of that part of me, and I can see how it actually has served me well. It's not all bad. And so if I looked at it with compassion, I could say, yeah, okay, I am insecure. I am influenced by my own vanity, but that influence is not entirely bad. It has a positive benefit on me. It drives me to do things that are good for me. And it came about, I think, all of these traits come about from a survival perspective. It helps you get by in a culture that made it necessary. And so I can find a way to love it. I can find a way to love that part of myself, as opposed to being ashamed of it, because I want to move forward with love. You know, I'm doing all this self-development stuff, but I don't want it to come from a place of shame, like, oh, I'm not good enough, I have to be better in order to be acceptable. I want to move forward out of a place of love. I want love to be my foundation. And speaking of, I'm going to lovingly perform a set of chin-ups while we continue talking. Now, another part of this picture of self-confidence and insecurity is that having a good level of comfort with who you are, including your insecurities, means that you can move through life and do things that are good for you without letting your self-consciousness stop you. So for myself, this is an activity that I know is, it's partly motivated by like health concerns, but it's also my vanity, you know? I want to look good. And that's funny, but I'm done being ashamed of that part. Whereas I was always kind of in denial about it. Like I would deny that I was doing it out of vanity because I was ashamed of it. And now I can actually just kind of chuckle about it. Because, well, I am who I am, and like I said, I want to move forward with love instead of shame or fear. And I think it's a good way of, well, developing confidence, because I don't see confidence as being rooted in being so good that you have kind of outworked all of your fear and doubt. I think it's more about coming to terms with the fact that we all have fear and doubt. We all have anxiety. We all have things about us that we don't consider to be ideal. Just to say, we're not perfect. But you can't wait, you can't hold off on your, you can't withhold love for yourself until you are perfect. You'll just be waiting forever. So I see that as my working definition of healthy confidence. It's that you are comfortable being who you are, including the parts of you that are insecure, the parts of you that are maybe vain, the parts of you that feels like you're not enough. And it's been a really healthy way for me to develop. I've found a lot more peace in just how I approach things. And I'm able to do things in ways that kind of, they quiet some of the chatter in my head, some of the just self-conscious, doubt-ridden chatter in my head. And I'm able to be more calm, be more present, and enjoy things a little more. So I think the connection between the confidence and the health thing. See, I used to be more self-conscious about doing things, like even just doing chin-ups in a public park. And part of that insecurity was because I didn't want people to think I was vain. And so I would do other types of exercises. Like I would deny myself doing something like chin-ups. Because like, I'm just trying to, that's for people that are just trying to make the biceps look big. Well, you know what? I kind of like having larger biceps, at least larger than I would have if I didn't do any of that type of exercise. And so just to run through that thought a little bit, kind of as review. If you asked me, hey, is that the perfect way of going through life, of being concerned with how you look in that way? I would say absolutely not. That's not the perfect way to do it. But that's who I was when I woke up this morning. It's like each day, it's kind of like Groundhog Day. You know, God, I love that movie so much. If you have not seen it, my God, watch Groundhog Day. Bill Murray wakes up every day, the same day. And he lives the same day over and over and over. And you get to watch him just run through the process of figuring out, like, gosh, what is the point if every day I have to live the same day? What do I do with this life? Am I going to do this forever? Like why do anything? And I kind of think of my life in that way. Like I woke up with a memory bank. You know, I have, this morning when I got up, I have this life in my memory, right? I can't change that. It's just, that's what it is. I have this particular body. Can't change that. That's the way it is. Oh, I have these particular relationships. I woke up with them. Like, that's just how they are. Okay? Now what? What do I do today? Knowing that I can't change anything that I woke up with. I can't change I can't change the context here. So what's the best way to interface with a day of life? Knowing that, well, okay, this is the day that I woke up with. What can I do with it? How can I do this day well? And not hold it against myself that I have this particular history, or that I have this particular body, or that I have whatever. Like just, how can I work with it today? And so I can find some peace with my imperfections. Be like, okay, that's just how I woke up today. Now, how can I live this day with love and compassion for myself? Because I could argue, you know what? It's not really my fault. This is the life that I woke up into today, and I'm just going to make the best of it, and I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can, and I'd like to be as present as I can for it. And I'd like to, these are all kind of aspirational. I don't do this perfectly every day. In fact, far from it. You could think, how can I bring the most joy today to myself and to others? Or how could I do something delightful and new today? But I don't hold it against myself that I inherited a feature set that is not perfect. And I think that's really what it comes down to for me, is that I used to hold it against myself. On some subconscious level, I was holding it against myself that I had woken up with a particular feature set that was not perfect, that was not ideal. So, I'm enjoying the process of kind of reprogramming to not have a default view of myself that includes a lot of shame or that includes fear, things like that. And instead move forward with the kind of compassion for myself that I think is easy for us to imagine having for somebody else. To just be like, oh yeah, that's how you are. And I like that as a working definition of confidence, because that allows me to move through life not wondering if someone will see through to the real me and like find me out. And instead I can go, yeah, no, I'm like really flawed. You know, like, and then you have to try it on for size to see just how that type of vulnerability actually makes you really secure in yourself. And there's no more soft, weak spot, because you just hold it all out there. You're like, yeah, no, I really am that flawed. I'm that insecure. Yeah, that's totally true. And then it's out, it's done. And you don't have to worry about it getting out. You don't have to concern yourself with being seen for who you really are. Because, hey, you're open with it, and you've come to terms with it. And you've actually, if you've really progressed on this path, then you have come to find love for that part, love for all of your parts. And it's so easy to see with other people when somebody else exhibits what I'm talking about, where they feel really just comfortable in their own skin. And I find it's more often than not, it's people that you may not expect it from. Now, from my own experience, I found that for me, like how I felt about myself, I was the least secure when I was projecting the most security. So there was a time when I was modeling, and it was fun, and it was a side gig kind of thing. And I would, once a month or something, I would score a gig. And I was probably the least secure in a way during that time, even though I felt like, oh, I am so good looking. This makes me so cool. I was actually really insecure at that time. And so I found that when I encounter people that to me read as very secure in themselves, they are not the model type. And I don't think there's a very good correlation between people that are, say, hyper attractive and being very secure and confident. I'm not sure that those go together very well. And if I had to offer a guess, then I would think that it would have to do with when you have that crutch of, say, genetics to lean on, then it doesn't force you to figure out how to be okay with yourself. It allows you to kind of coast on let's say, this shallow confidence. And it doesn't force you to come to terms with who you really are, which has nothing to do with how you look. And so I know that for myself, that's what happened. that I was coasting, and still am, coasting on my looks, thinking that served as a marker of my value. And it became a way for me to feel good about myself when I didn't feel good about myself on just kind of a base human level. Hence the crutch. It's kind of weird shit, but it's interesting, and I'm in the process of trying to move on in different ways, and instead of hiding my flaws, if anything, kind of try and flaunt them a little bit, just to prove to myself it's okay, that being imperfect is the only way for me to be happy with myself. Like being openly imperfect, being in love with my imperfection. And that's the kind of confidence that I want to cultivate, that I want to move towards. And I want to avoid this very tempting pitfall of feeling good about yourself because you have effectively hidden your imperfections, which is what I got really good at. But you might have to just learn it yourself and see how ineffective that is in the long run before you can see, like, oh man, I really would like to not do that anymore. So, there's my talk on confidence and how it might play into health. I'm not sure if I really effectively connected those two, but we got to talk about confidence, and I think that was my real motivation there for that video. So, wow, 22 minutes in. You're a real glutton for punishment here. Anyway, thanks for sticking around, and, well, have a great day. I'll see you next time.